Thank you, and Happy New Year. I'd like to expand a little bit on the previous concept you talked about two people being able to live in the same environment with very different intentions, yet being able to have them fulfilled. And I'd like to meld that a little bit with another concept you talk about where it's easy for children to see their parents as the vortexes through which their well-being flows. The way that's playing out in my life is that my children want a dog. My wife and I have very different ideas about it, and so we all want different things, yet I'm trying to tell and teach my children that I'm not the vortex through which their well-being flows, but at this moment to them it sure looks like it.
So the question is, if my children really believe that I'm the vortex through which their well-being flows, and they really want something, and they are oblivious to the fact that I don't want it because their desire for it is so strong, will I be putty in their hands? Will I yield to their pure request, even though I am determined to do otherwise? We stretched a little for that, but you have found that to be your experience, haven't you?
In some respects, yes.
Don't you find yourself just feeling inclined to do things that you said you would never ever do?
Sure.
And yet, when a child wants something and they're convinced that they're not going to get it, and so they're fussing and throwing fits in order to get it, you don't feel so inclined, do you?
No, but in some ways I see them sort of giving up. I see my daughter writing about how much she wants a dog, yet you can almost feel in that paper sort of this resignation that it isn't going to come.
Well, that will help her get a dog. Because when she gives up, do not worry, she has not given up her desire for the dog. She's only given up the struggle, which is going to bring it quickly. You see. When Jerry and Esther came together, the one thing that they did not have agreement about was pets. Jerry made Esther sign a prenuptial agreement that said, or nearly so, no pets, because they die first, and Jerry and Esther travel a lot, and so he didn't want the discomfort of pets. And so Esther, who has always had a lot of pets around her before, agreed to allow him what he wanted, even though she still loves animals and would have liked to have had some up close to her. And so as they're traveling about in their bus, they see lots of pets moving around the campgrounds, and every time Esther would see one, especially one loose somewhere, Esther would say, "Hello, little cat," or "Hello, little dog, would you like to come to Texas and live with me?" And Jerry would say, "Oh, no, that was not our agreement," and they would laugh, and that would be the end of it. And one day, they were in a campground in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Esther can hear Jerry outside making sweet talk with someone, and she looks out the window, and there's a little cat rubbing on his legs while he is checking the air pressure in the tires. And so then Esther sees Jerry going over to the park office, and she sneaks behind and follows because she can feel something's going on, and she hears him asking who this cat belongs to. And the owner is telling him that someone dumped it off. They don't know where it came from. And then Jerry doesn't talk to Esther about it. Esther doesn't talk to Jerry about it. But Esther is beginning to feel that feeling you get when one of your desires is about to manifest. She could feel this energy moving through her, and so she is working very hard not to make the mistake of saying anything that could abruptly turn it in the other direction. And so then, at that night, after dark, someone knocks on the door, and it is the park owner, and she's holding the cat. And she says to Esther, "My husband and I have talked about it, and we think you should take this cat." And Esther said, "You have no idea how long this story is, but it is not likely that we will be taking the cat, but we will tell you in the morning." Well, now, Esther is certain. The universe has brought this cat in someone's arms right to her door. Esther can hardly breathe. She is so excited. She's lying in the bed. Jerry can hardly sleep. He is so sure that something he does not want is about to happen. And so they are lying there, neither one of them sleeping, and Esther said, "I'll make you a deal. If when we wake up in the morning, if the cat is nowhere to be seen, that will be the end of it. I won't say a word about it. But if that cat is on our doorstep, then we will take it as a sign, and we will take the cat." And Jerry says, "That sounds like a good plan." So the next morning, they get up before daylight. Esther is saying in her mind, "Hee, kitty, 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 kitty." Jerry is outside pulling the hoses in and such, and it is just becoming daylight and no cat anywhere around. The diesel engine has to be warmed up for 6 minutes before they move the bus, and so Esther starts the big engine, and off in the distance, far away in the tall grass, a little cat is jumping up over the grass and down, disappearing and then showing itself, disappearing and then showing itself, and the cat came right to the door of the bus. Jerry opened the door and said, "Well, little cat, I guess you're going to Texas," and in the cat came. Now, lovable cat, Elsie, stands for Lake Charles, Louisiana cat, lovable cat, a vibrational match to what both of them want. She is an independent cat. She is outside at the office. The girls all love her. There is a cat door in every building possible so that she can come and go as she wants. She is utterly independent. Jerry got everything that he wanted from this cat. Esther got everything that she wanted from this cat. You can have everything that you want if you don't make what someone else wants that seems in opposition a big factor in your vibration, you see. It is our expectation that you want your children to know that they create their own reality. It is our expectation that you want them to know that if they focus upon something and they focus upon it purely, that the universe will find a way through the path of least resistance to bring it. And you know, a father who has said no pets, no pets, no pets is not exactly the path of least resistance, but that will not keep the pet from coming. In other words, the universe is not okaying what your child gets through you. That's the big thing that parents have a hard time understanding. The universe is yielding to the purity of the child's desire. And it is our knowing that as a parent who is wanting their child to understand about law of attraction, you want them to find ways of coming into alignment with what they want. And we would say to you that a pet that is able to circumvent your decision not to have a pet, that comes through the crack of least resistance because of the powerful desire of your child, would be so readily welcomed by you at many levels of your being, because you want your children to feel the power of their being. And you want to wean them from the idea that you are the vortex through which they come, you see. A wonderful grandmother walking through the woods one day with her grandchild who wanted so much a toy gun, and his mother had said no. She did not want him to play violent games. And so he says, "Grandma, will you get me a gun?" Well, Grandma's not going to get into the middle of that one. And so grandmother says, "This is between you and your mother." And that day while they walked in the woods, this little boy, knee-deep in leaves in the fall in New York, stumbles across something under the leaves, and guess what it was? A toy gun. When he took it home, his mother said, "I guess it's yours." In other words, it's hard to deny what the universe delivers to the pure of heart, you see. So your role as a parent is to do your best not to get between them and their belief about things they want. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, there would be nothing that we believed that we wanted that would supersede our desire for our children to come to understand the power of their creating their own reality. And it goes without saying, of course you want their well-being, and of course you want their safety, and of course you want them to live happily ever after. In other words, there are so many things that you want for your children and for yourself. But you can have it all. All of the things that make you feel resistant about a pet are non-essential things. And when you clean up your vibration, you can see that not only can you have everything that you want, but everyone you love can have everything that they want without stepping on your creative toes at all. The universal manager has the ability to yield to everyone what they want without any of you getting in each other's way. You don't get in each other's way unless you fixate on something that you don't want them to want and use that as your excuse to mess up your vibration. But it's not somebody else having something that they want that messes up your vibration, even if it's a child bringing a pet into your house. And we know it's hard to hear, but it is so.
Thank you very much.
Did we get there for you?
You did. Thank you.